एक शब्द है जिससे मेरी कांस्टेंट लड़ाई चलती रहती
Technology.
है। देन अभिषेक ऐश्वर्या हैपेंड, दैट वाज अनदर पैराडाइम शिफ्ट। उस 12-18 महीने में जो हरकतें की हैं वो मैं कभी भूल नहीं सकता।
You think it could develop, or we will ever see that as a destination for wedding? Sometimes बहुत कुछ misleading हो रहा है हमारे इंडस्ट्री में. This is in the space of weddings, or
इट्स इन द स्पेस ऑफ
oh
वेडिंग्स।
wow.
प्रधानमंत्री हर महीने एक मन की बात करते हैं।
Welcome to the Wedding Podcast. And today, our guest is one of the most admired leaders in the wedding space. One of the media houses gave him a title, The Man with a Plan. And I couldn't agree any more with them because this man has always a great plan, whether it's for work, whether it's for the industry. We have today, without dragging any more on the suspense, we have with us today Mr. Samit Garg, the co founder and managing director of eFactor Experiences. eFactor has been instrumental in the most path breaking work in the wedding space and creating iconic IPs for different tourism boards within India. Samit also wears another hat as the president of EMA. EMA is the Events Entertainment Management Association of India. Welcome, Samit ji.
Thank you so very much, Aarti. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here, and I look forward to this conversation.
Samit ji, we should start with आपकी कहानी आपकी ज़ुबानी. थोड़ा आप tell us all about your journey so far, and what are those points which even some of us don't know. We'd love to hear that.
See, you're talking of my journey of life, then it's a very, very long story. I don't know how many sessions of your podcast will that consume. But I come from a small town, but Adab ka sheher hai. Born and brought up in Lucknow, and moved to Delhi in 1998, which is when accidentally I got into this business. और भगवान की बहुत कृपा रही है. I think after the first 2-3 years, there has fortunately been no looking back. And so there's actually an incredible story before that, but I think it's going to consume a lot of time. But what I would say is that when I was dabbling with opportunities in events, क्या स्कूल कॉलेज डेज के टाइम ना आई वाज ऑलवेज वेरी एक्टिव इन एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर्स. आई यूज्ड टू बी
And this was in Lucknow.
This was in Lucknow. So I used to be the secretary of inter-college festival organizing committees, so on and so forth. तो जब लखनऊ में कभी वो छोटे छोटे शोज होते थे उस ज़माने में, कभी नितिन मुकेश आ रहा है, कभी अलीशा चिनॉय आ रही है,
ये
कभी
कौन सा
कोई.
year था समझ
आई एम टॉकिंग ऑल ऑफ दिस in I think late 80s
Okay.
and things like that. So हमको म्यूज़िक का शौक था, and in smaller cities the fraternities, the social circles and the specific segments of societies are not very large. तो हम जाते थे देखने और सोचते थे यार ये सब कभी हम भी करेंगे ज़िंदगी में, नॉट रियलाइजिंग कि आने वाले समय में क्या होने वाला है. सो वो सब चीज़ें थी. एंड so when I shifted to Delhi, this was obviously, and I was learning about life, experimenting with various things. कई बार गिरे, बहुत चोट लगी. तो एक दिन my dad finally said कि Lucknow is not meant for you because the kind of things that you want to do, तुम शायद यहाँ कर नहीं पाओगे. तो बोरिया बिस्तर overnight बांधा. He closed his business just, at the blink of an eye, and we all moved to Delhi. And then he took me to my cousin. He's a respected member in the fraternity. His name is Mr. Sudhanshu Mittal. He, at that point in time, used to run one of the largest infrastructure companies of the country called Delhi Tents and Decorators, which still exists.
Which is your family business?
So it's not my family business, but it belongs to a cousin of mine
Okay,
and
okay.
my bua's son. तो उन्होंने मुझे ले जाकर वहाँ बिठा दिया. तो पहले तो मुझे समझ ही नहीं आया कि मैं टेंट हाउस में बैठ गया हूँ आके. एंड बट देन सच वाज लाइफ. वन हैड टू एम्ब्रेस, वन हैड टू एक्सेप्ट. करते करते 2-3 महीने तो मैंने कुछ किया नहीं, फिर
और आप कितने साल के थे तब?
तब मैं 27 साल का था। एंड
जो आज के ज़माने में अगर हम बोलें तो पीपल फील अभी तो हम शुरू कर रहे हैं अपना करियर, बाय देन यू आर ऑलरेडी डूइंग अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स.
नहीं, तो हम भी तब शुरू कर रहे थे, बिकॉज आई हैड टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम ग्राउंड जीरो.
या
And everything before that I had done or experimented with had actually failed. So कुछ नहीं किया था तब तक जिंदगी में. It just so happened one day that I was visiting an event and on behalf of Delhi Tents, and तो बहुत सारे लोग थे, 5-7 हज़ार लोग थे. कोई म्यूज़िकल इवेंट था, मुझे एग्जैक्टली याद नहीं है. और every 10, 15, 20 minutes as time was passing by, मेरा वहाँ पे खड़े रहने का मन जो है वो बढ़ता चला गया, for various reasons, because organizing things etc was always probably there as a part of my liking inside. And फिर 1-1.5 घंटा जब निकल गया, then I started telling myself, यार ये बेहतर हो सकता है,
आपका
इसने ठीक नहीं
डिटर्मिनेशन
किया,
फर्म होते गया.
नहीं ये आदमी ने ये गलत कर दिया, दिस कुड हैव बीन डन बेटर लाइक दिस, दैट कुड हैव बीन डन बेटर लाइक दैट. एंड देन फाइनली बाय द एंड ऑफ इट, जब मैं रात में घर आया, आई थॉट टू माई सेल्फ, इज दैट माई कॉलिंग? And so then I genuinely started focusing on it. A few large opportunities came by. God was kind. We accepted those opportunities, some risks, but it was transformatory, both for me personally, and I think also to a great extent for the industry, because
Yes.
मैंने वो उस 12-18 महीने में जो हरकतें की हैं वो मैं कभी भूल नहीं सकता. और I think they were also landmark events for the events industry per se. The first international distributors festival for an MLM company called Japan Life. 1,42,000 people on ground at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium. Science Movie Awards for Pritish Nandi Communications for 2 years. Ritik's first television show with Cineyog
This
again at the
wasn't under
Jawaharlal
the
Nehru
brand
Stadium.
of
No, it wasn't.
E-Factor
E-Factor wasn't
experience.
born until then.
Okay.
In fact, I wasn't born until then. But then, with all of these things, Channel V Awards was a huge platform of learning where, for the first time in my life, I actually engaged and deliberated with international experts, thanks to Wizcraft, Sabas. So that's how, I started. So I'm glad that the landscape of my learning was so huge. कि
And
उसके
that I
बाद
think builds the foundation, no?
एग्जैक्टली राइट. सो इसलिए उसके बाद कभी कुछ छोटा समझ ही नहीं आया. और वी लर्नड इट द हार्ड वे, बट गॉड हैज बीन काइंड, वी लर्नड इट वेल. So that's how it started.
Lovely. And when did E-Factor happen in all of this?
E-Factor happened in 2001, as we started as a partnership firm, but then gradually converted it to a private limited company in 2003. So which is when 2001, Jay, Sonali, Manika and me, the four of us got together and laid the foundation of the business.
Just for your information, Jay and Sonali are partners with E-Factor Experiences, and Manika ji is the better half of Samit ji, and a great support, because I think just to diverse before I jump into the wedding question, it's important because this is a wedding show and we talk about partnerships, marriages which last. I'm going to ask one very quick personal question. Manika ji has a smile on her face all the time, and she's always been this one person who I feel, she's the ठहराव बोलते हैं ना, it's so much there. I'm sure she's a big support factor for you to, when you're thinking big. Is she the person, the soundboard that it goes through that pehle aap bataiye ke, what's that equation?
So first of all, yes, Manika indeed is an extremely important part of obviously my life, and then also the business that we do. But मेरी शिफत स्केल में है, उसकी शिफत बारीकी में है. And
She's
that
a
is where-
detail-oriented
so
person.
that is where I think we complement each other very well.
Lovely.
And but yes, weddings specifically, there is so much of finery involved, not only in terms of design, also in terms of planning, in terms of understanding nuances and sentiments of different members of the family. So both Manika and Sonali end up playing a very, very important role there. And I think they've been one of the pivotal reason why we probably have been able to do better than others.
You know, I also feel weddings may women, I mean, not to sound sexist here, but I feel women generally do a little more justice to the coordination with the family.
100%.
वो जो एक warmth, एक touch, एक detailing है.
देखिए, जब पारिवारिक चीज़ें आती हैं और सांस्कृतिक चीज़ों को हम मिलाने की चेष्टा करते हैं ना, तो वो एक दरमियाँ ऐसा है जहाँ एक फीमेल थॉट प्रोसेस will always prevail over a male thought process. It is natural, and specifically in the context of Indian culture.
Yeah, and in our industry, I've seen most of the partnerships. I mean, the companies which are really leading and succeeding so well in the wedding space have that female and male energy coming together and doing some great path-breaking work.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's very important because things that will be priority for me, on the playground will be different, and things that will be priority for you, for sure, will be different.
Like my pink mic.
One of the examples.
Samaji, you've seen this industry so closely, and I think you've pretty much set a lot of things in context to call this like a full-fledged industry. I always say this, कि 2 decades ago, इसको इतना इंडस्ट्री का दर्जा भी नहीं था जितना आज है. एंड टुडे वी आर द 4th largest industry which is being spoken. We are constantly reading, understanding how the numbers are growing. What's your perspective in the next 3 to 5 years? What do you see the growth pattern in the wedding industry?
Actually, I've been shouting about this practically on all podiums since the last 12 to 18 months. We haven't yet seen the best.
Wow.
And
with 4th largest, we are already.
We haven't yet seen the best because what is in store for us is something that we can't even imagine. And the most unfortunate part of this is that we are not ready for it. So there's a lot of work that needs to go in because wherever we are, we will multiply 2.5x in the next 4 to 5 years.
And when you say we are not ready, are you talking in context with Wed in India and India as a destination,
I'm
or
talking
generally?
about us. I'm talking about
as a fraternity.
I'm talking about the fraternity. I'm talking about the opportunities that are going to come by. Opportunities will be there, but people to handle opportunities will not be there. And a lot of us, unfortunately, have not invested in training our systems, our people, our capacities. हम थोड़ी सी ये दुर्भाग्य की बात है, बट हम पिछले 5, 7, 8 साल से देख रहे हैं कि बहुत सारे लोग वो बस एक बैग और एक लैपटॉप रख कर एक दुकान खोल लेते हैं.
Because there's no entry barriers, no?
So which is fine, but I think then it is also important on the other side for the client fraternity to understand and start recognizing that what is the basic minimum strength that they need in a wedding planner or a wedding planning.
What would your advice to a client be to evaluate?
देखिए, बड़ा मुश्किल है किसी को कोई एडवाइस दे पाना, बट अगर हम ब्रास टैक्स की बात करें तो मैं बहुत हम्बली ये कहता हूँ, you will get what you pay for.
Yeah, that's a fact, but also I feel sometimes बहुत कुछ misleading हो रहा है हमारे industry में, you know. I think the information that is given very often to the clients or to the families, it's a lot of tall claims, big promises to begin with. And I feel kahin pe, through this show, Samitji, I would like to tell the audience what are those few parameters they should keep in mind to evaluate the planner. I mean, baki cheeze I feel pretty much you can assess through a measurable, I would say graph, but planners का क्या होता है कि वो measure करना बहुत मुश्किल है, तो आपका क्या
बहुत
suggestion?
subjective है आरती. See, let's also understand and respect the fact that we're still a very new industry. We are just about 2 decades young.
Yes.
और एक शहर को बनाने में 20 साल का टाइम लगता है.
जी
हम तो एक और बहुत बड़े इकोसिस्टम की बात कर रहे हैं. So anything which is still evolving and emerging, there will be a continuous process of evolution that will engage with it. और उसमें ये उतार चढ़ाव हमेशा होंगे, because nothing is written in a transcript that this is how the industry will redefine itself or progress. वो हम गलतियाँ करते हैं, सीखते हैं, गलतियाँ करते हैं, सीखते हैं. ये हमारे लिए भी उतना ही लागू होता है जितना क्लाइंट के लिए लागू होता है.
True.
So there is nobody to blame. I think that's how every business has evolved over a period of time, historically, if you look back at it. So, but yes, I think a few basic things that anybody, for that matter, who's in the process of selecting an agency to handle such a momentous occasion in their lives, is कि भाई आदमी को experience है या नहीं, और जिस स्केल का काम आप कराना चाह रहे हो उस स्केल का एक्सपीरियंस है या नहीं. एंड टुडे reputation, I think, precedes everybody.
Absolutely. Your credibility is the last job you've
which
done.
is not very difficult to find out and
out.
ascertain. And don't be penny wise and pound foolish.
Yes, that's the most important
these
thing.
these are a few basic things. इसके अलावा और कोई rocket science नहीं.
Yeah, that's true.
And yes, one thing I think it's important. You see, I don't think so. The relationship between a family and their wedding manager or their wedding planner should be transactional. Because if that's a transactional relationship, then trust me, you're not going to get the best.
Yeah. I think this journey
There
involves
there
that.
has to be a lot of emotional connect.
Yes.
Because till the time people like us are not emotionally invested in that family, we will not be able to deliver the best. And it goes both ways.
I totally agree with you, Samajji. Totally. And I think कहीं पे business एक चीज़ है, but I think planners भी जब मिलते हैं families को, it's important for them to also sometimes think, will I fit in? And it's okay to go and look for something else where you feel you're the right fit.
So you're leading me to another thing that I think very strongly about. ना कहने में बुरा लगता है, लेकिन ना कहना आना चाहिए.
सही बात है. और बहुत कम है हम लोग, I must say,
बहुत
जो ना
ज़रूरी
कहते
है,
हैं.
but ठीक है. And again, that is what starts differentiating the better ones from the other ones.
करेक्ट करेक्ट. समझिए, ये वेड इन इंडिया का वेव जो चल रहा है, आपको इसका एक अलग अप्रोच कैसे शुरू हुआ, क्या हुआ? ये मुझे मालूम है कहीं पे, आई नो देयर इज अ, you've been instrumental in certain ways in getting this wave all out. So thoda, if you'd like to tell us about that.
Yes, I'm getting a lot of flack from one quarter of the society, but I'm also getting a lot of appreciation from another segment of the society. So, as a part of the different things that we were wanting to do in IMA, there was always this realization that यार ये शादी वाले बिजनेस को एक स्टेप सन स्टेप मदरली ट्रीटमेंट टाइप का एक कोने में फेंका हुआ है, despite the fact that the industry per se is very, very large.
That's when you were evaluating in EMA as the event industry.
So overall, because I've been a part of the wedding business also for a fairly long time. So there was always this thing, even from a government standpoint, there is no, कोई सुनता नहीं था. वो शादी वाले इस तरीके की बातें करते थे. But the fact of the matter is that it's a very, very large contributor to the economy of this country, the whole wedding ecosystem. So we decided to get Deloitte on board and create a wedding tourism strategy draft to be presented to the government of India.
Oh.
So Deloitte helped us, and at IMA we prepared a framework for a strategy stroke policy draft, which is a very nice handy book that was created. It took us some 6-7 months to prepare that document. And then while the G20 summits were on, in one of the opportunities where I was also invited to be a speaker in one of the tourism-based summits, I met up with Mr. Kishan Reddy, our tourism minister, and I stole some time from him and I presented that document to him. After that, in the evening, he called for me because he may have flipped through it. He must have realized that there are certain interesting and pertinent points in there. So then, over dinner, we had a conversation, and he said, "आपने बहुत अच्छा किया ये बनवाया और हमको दिया. I see that there is merit." I felt very nice. I felt very happy that okay, this effort has been at least recognized by somebody so important and relevant to our nation. And then the next week, I got a message that that document or some excerpts from that document have been forwarded to the PMO.
Oh.
And प्रधानमंत्री हर महीने एक मन की बात करते हैं.
और उन्होंने वो मन की
So
बात
the
करी.
next episode of Man Ki Baat was the first time in the history of this country that the leader of our nation spoke about the importance of wedding
Wedding
tourism.
tourism.
And so that's how everything started, and then it just catapulted into the third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, and overdrive. Ministry of Tourism is very actively working on this. They have a committee. IMA is a fortunate part of that committee.
Wow.
We are called for all important meetings and deliberations. And thank you, Ministry of Tourism, for recognizing our efforts and for making sure that you keep us involved. So it's also a great thing.
It was very encouraging to be a part of the first Wed in India Expo recently in Jaipur. It was, I mean, I feel the feeling I got is that they are taking this very seriously and it's going to see a lot of traction in the times to come.
Undoubtedly.
I think it's a good opportunity for hotels, the entire ecosystem very clearly. वो तो established ही है. But there are a lot of challenges also, Samiji. And, you know, what are those few challenges that you feel is going to take us a while to make this as like a destination which is totally equipped?
See, the biggest challenge that we as an industry are facing or will continue to face for some more time is legitimization of the complete business. And that is an aspect that I think all of us have to collectively work towards. Because till the time the entire business does not become legitimized, it also means that it does not become measurable.
Yes.
Until the time it doesn't become measurable, it is very, very difficult to approach policy makers, industry bodies to represent our cases. Because देखो सब कुछ जो है ना वो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इकोनॉमिक्स के लिए होता है. एंड फॉर decision makers, policy makers to understand the concerns of people like you and me or an industry body, numbers have to be tabled because till the time we are not able to explain things like that, वो समझ नहीं आएगा. So that is the biggest challenge. But moving on, I think now that the journey has started, at the behest of the central government, I think a lot of other state government bodies have started to understand the importance. ऐसा नहीं है कि पहले पता नहीं था, पता
जी.
सबको था, but वो होता है ना कि एक बार किसी ने शुरुआत कर दी, then you know the others kind of develop that confidence, especially in government. So a lot of this momentum has now started, which will also mean that state bodies, central government bodies will start looking at rationalization of a lot of taxation aspects.
Yes,
because
that's a very
those are
important
again representations that have been submitted as a policy, you know, in the recommendations that we have sent in there. So infrastructure hai, there are many destinations. So okay, so if you look at the existing destinations for weddings in India, they're very limited. They're just a hand
Rajasthan
few.
mainly.
Only because of the fact that भाई क्या क्या चाहिए, connectivity चाहिए, hotel का infrastructure चाहिए, and everything then follows. But these two things are the basic requirements because आदमी पहुंच ही नहीं पाएगा और रहने के लिए जगह नहीं है तो शादी
True,
कैसे होगी. So not many destinations in the country actually qualify for this.
Yes.
So you know, which means that infrastructure of mobility needs to be created, which is where the center and the state have to work together. A lot of private investment is gradually coming in. So I don't think so hotels in due course of time will really become an issue. Or
Hotels,
will
I
remain
think,
an
like I
issue.
said, hotels and but I connectivity, of course. But I also feel that while all this is happening, and this will take a while, you know, we're all positive. These changes will happen. There will be growth. There will be a lot of infrastructure that will get built. The client today is very nervous. एंड दे थिंक, मुझे लगता है दे ऑल थिंक के अब हमको बस यही कैसे भी करना है, वी कांट जस्ट go out.
नहीं,
And that's, I think, a myth to an extent,
ऐसा
right?
नहीं है, it's a misunderstanding.
Yes.
And but to complete what I was saying before that, so see that whole circle has to complete itself. And while infrastructure is developing, but it has to be done sooner than later, because otherwise we will lose the momentum. और जो चीज़ हम आज जितने उत्साह से जितनी स्पीड से बनाने की चेष्टा कर रहे हैं, फिर वो धुंधली हो जाएगी.
जी.
So that having been said, this next point of yours, which was
Internationally, whether, I mean, why are they
so
nervous?
see the communication of the leadership of this country is to encourage
Correct.
more weddings in India, and this also again goes back to one of our recommendations in the strategy draft, was to get India established as a wedding destination for other countries. So अगर आप थोड़ा सा डाइसेक्शन करके स्टडी करोगे, which are the other countries outside of India where wedding celebrations are large? So most of them come from the Middle East.
Middle East.
A lot of Russian people spend a lot of money, and then there are scattered societies,
Yes.
some in Africa and some here and there. So the intent was to get more and more people into India to celebrate their weddings. And yes, there is no harm in also promoting the fact that we should do as much if this is possible in India. But you see, business works on a dynamics where equilibrium has to be achieved.
Correct.
अब आज पैलेस होटल्स हमारे यहाँ 1.5 लाख रुपए रोज मांगते हैं, तो कोई कैसे जाएगा? मेरी एक इच्छा है, ख्वाहिश है कि मैं एक पैलेस होटल में जाके अपने बच्चों की शादी करूं, मुझे बाहर 50,000 रुपए में मिल जाता है और यहाँ 1.5 लाख रुपए में मिलता
सही
है.
बात है.
तो
And
मैं
यहाँ पर
जाऊंगा,
रूम्स भी कम है.
तो मैं जाऊंगा. सो इट्स नोवेयर सेइंग दैट आप मत करो.
जी.
It is always saying कि this is what we encourage. And if somebody is really very keen, because as parents everybody wants to fulfill the wishes of their bachas.
Yeah.
So some kids have thought that okay, I'll do a small intimate 150 to 100 people shadi there. It's okay.
Yeah.
As long as everybody is working within the framework of the legal system and is not antagonizing a second or a third person in the process of doing so, there is no problem.
That's good to hear, because I think ये जो myth है ये, and it's spreading somehow, giving a, I would not say a negative connotation, but a fear, कि oh, should we do it internationally or no?
So I think it's a matter of interpretation.
Yes.
And but nowhere I don't think so, as the Honorable Prime Minister said कि आप बाहर मत जाओ. उन्होंने
जी.
कहा है कि आप encourage करो, कि आप
जी.
सारी चीज़ें यहाँ करो, which is okay, because I don't think so there's anything wrong in trying to keep all the money in the ecosystem of our country.
I
So,
think
which is
every
okay.
country should
Yeah.
do that.
So,
I mean,
which
that's
is absolutely fair.
Yeah. Talking of creating a destination or, creating an infrastructure, I want to talk about your Ollie wedding, because, honestly, it's so close to my heart to see that project. I mean, I have not seen so much, but whatever I heard, I was following it so carefully. It takes a lot of courage, I think, for to even give a suggestion like that to a client कि मैं आपके लिए, like on a barren land, I'm going to create everything that is needed,
So-
from rooms to everything.
There is more to it than meets the eye, actually.
Please बताइए.
And I never gave this suggestion.
Oh, you didn't.
But I've been closely connected to the family for a very long time. And उनके यहाँ बहुत सारी शादियाँ हो चुकी हैं. So they've been to all the fancy palace hotels of the world in different parts, in 3 different continents for that matter, to do different weddings that have happened of the younger generation over the last 8 to 10 years. So I was actually in southern China, and I get a call from the family that आप कहाँ हो? मैंने कहा मैं यहाँ हूँ. बोले कब आ रहे? मैंने कहा परसों आ रहा हूँ. तो बोली ठीक है, नरसों सुबह हम लोग साथ में जाएंगे, आप नरसों कहीं कुछ और प्लान मत करना. उन्होंने बड़े हक से बोला बिकॉज हमारा रिलेशनशिप वैसा है. हमने कहा ठीक है. So हम लैंड कर गए एंड देन द डे आफ्टर मॉर्निंग वी मेट एट द एयरपोर्ट, गॉट ऑन टू देयर प्लेन एंड मूव्ड टू देहरादून. सो देहरादून में हम उतरे एंड देन वी गॉट ऑन टू हेलीकॉप्टर. मैं तब तक कई बार पूछ चुका हूँ कहाँ जा रहे हैं, बोले बताएंगे. सो व्हेन वी फाइनली टुक ऑफ इन द चॉपर देन आई वाज टोल्ड दैट वी आर गोइंग टू ओली. I said okay. And why are we going to Oli? We are going to Oli to discuss something, but that's something I will tell you there only.
Oh, this was suspense built.
So, okay. So we reached there in about 45 minutes. We landed on a space that was created for helicopters to land. And तो फिर मुझे उन्होंने कहानी बताई कि यार हम लोग ना 2 हफ्ते पहले सब दर्शन के लिए 4 धाम के आए हुए थे. And their mother was also there with them, and they really look up to her. She is the patriarch of the family today. And तो ऊपर से जब दिख रहा था, then all of that region is absolutely fantastic. मतलब बद्रीनाथ, केदारनाथ, नंदा देवी, you on a clear day, it is so mesmerizing that you just want
The
to
view from the
stay
top,
plant
yeah.
there. And तो बोला माँ जी ने कहा यार अगली शादी जो है ना तुम लोग यहाँ भगवान की शरण में करना. वो बात मदर ने बोली और उसके 10 दिन बाद रिश्ता हो गया घर में. एंड यू नो सो दैट होल थिंग इन द माइंड्स वाज सो स्ट्रांग दैट दैट्स व्हाट द मदर हैज वांटेड.
Yeah.
So which is why we were standing there. So they gave me this whole background so that I am able to understand the importance of the sentiment.
Yeah.
एंड देन आई सेड फिर इसमें डिस्कशन क्या है, अगर उन्होंने बोला है
बस करना है.
तो करना है. फिर यहीं होगा. तो बोले बट होगा कैसे, ये तो 30 कमरे हैं इसमें, और हम अगर बहुत भी कट शॉर्ट करेंगे हमारी लिस्ट तो हमारे 150 से 175 गेस्ट तो होंगे. सो देयर वाज अनदर ब्लॉक adjoining the resort at Oli which had been locked for almost 15-17 years. उसमें 10-12 कमरे थे. हमने कहा ये खोल देंगे, तो बोले ठीक कराने में भी तो टाइम लगेगा. एंड वी आर 28 days away from the शादी.
Are you kidding me?
So
I
my
thought ये
first
project
visit-
like बहुत ही लंबा चला था.
I visited this is the trip that I'm talking about, and the date of the wedding that's been decided. It's a 28-day gap.
28 days.
28
आपने ये
days.
गिनीज बुक ऑफ वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड्स में डाला है कि नहीं ये शादी?
नहीं हमने नहीं डाला बिकॉज सोच के कुछ और गए थे, हो कुछ और गया था एक्चुअली. सो एंड देन वी सेड ओके वील क्रिएट अ टेंटेड कॉलोनी, एंड दैट्स हाउ द होल स्टोरी स्टार्टेड. सो बाय द टाइम वी केम बैक इन द इवनिंग it was a different story altogether because हमको पता था. So I knew what is now lined up, and but a lot of things about Oli we hadn't known till then. Logistical night में हमको किसी ने कहा था कि ट्रकें जाती हैं ऊपर तक. सामान भेजना शुरू कर दिया 4 दिन बाद तो पता चला वहाँ तो ट्रक जाती नहीं है, नीचे 3 किलोमीटर पहले रास्ता बंद हो जाता है. हमने क्या क्या किया है हम जानते हैं. लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स आई कांट शेयर है, बट हमने सड़क तक बनाई है ऊपर ट्रक ले जाने के लिए. एंड इट इज़ बाय फार आई थिंक द स्मॉलेस्ट project that we've done in terms of number of guests, but it has been the most challenging wedding project that we've ever done in life, and for various reasons it's very very close to our hearts.
No, it is. I mean, when I heard of it, and there was a little bit I read about it, I've yet not seen anything what was done, but knowing you, your team, and the work you all do, just to think of this very picturesque sight of a wedding happening in Oli was a great thought and a beautiful vision.
Yeah.
But to create it, उसके पीछे जो होता है, जो हमको पता है कि what goes into creating a wedding.
तो आप पूछो नहीं, मतलब मैं किताबों पे किताबें लिख सकता हूँ उसके ऊपर, but what is important is that God was very kind despite all the challenges that
Yeah.
kept on coming on us practically on a daily basis. जो हुआ वो बहुत सात्विक था और बहुत सुंदर था.
We'd love to see something of this, and I'm sure we will. But
Anytime. Anytime.
taking to my other question about destination, um, आपको लगता है places like Ayodhya, which is now so pretty, and I think generally for somebody to feel, जैसे आपने कहा, the serene moment and having a wedding in a holy place, you think it could develop, or we will ever see that as a destination for wedding?
I will not say a yes and I will not say a no.
Okay.
You see, a lot of these things uh, are a subject matter of personal tastes to families as well.
True.
I want a fun wedding, I want a beach wedding. I will go to Goa, or
Of
I will
course.
go to Phuket, or I will go to somewhere else.
Yeah.
I want a royal, regal wedding. I will go to Rajasthan. I will look at some other chateau or palace property in some other part of the world. So it is all very subjective. If I want a very spiritual wedding, I may decide to go to Banaras. I may decide to go to Ayodhya. So I think all of this first stems from what is the persona that the family wants the wedding to have. And then comes stage two. Okay, if this is the flavor that I want, and obviously you as a professional or anybody else for that matter, अब अगर मैं सोचता हूँ मैं बनारस में शादी करूँगा तो कैसे करोगे बनारस में शादी? और बनारस में शादी करोगे और अगर घाट पे कुछ नहीं करोगे, नदी के किनारे कुछ नहीं करोगे तो बनारस में जाके क्या करोगे?
Exactly.
किसी मंदिर का प्रयोग नहीं करोगे तो बनारस क्यों जा रहे हो? So I think it's also very important to understand that the reason I am going to a destination has to be a very solid reason. I don't want to go to a Banaras and then get inside a banquet hall to do a wedding event. Banquet hall तो यार हर शहर में, किसी भी शहर में कर लो. So that's where this whole equilibrium will come into play, where तो अगर किसी परिवार को लगता है यार मुझे एक सात्विक शादी करनी है, आई वांट टू डू समथिंग स्पिरिचुअल, और वेयर आई वांट माय गेस्ट्स टू फील कनेक्टेड टू गॉड, possibly Ayodhya may be a destination to go to, but for now, where? So, in due course of time, I'm sure infrastructure will develop. सरयू के किनारे कुछ एक दो वेन्यू डेवलप हो जाएं, कुछ एक ऐसी जगह मिल जाए जहां राम मंदिर का पीछे बैकड्रॉप दिखता हो. But then these weddings will be tailored in a very different way.
Which
You know,
is the
you
case,
will,
yeah.
which is okay, which is why I'm saying. So it is going to be subjective to how a family is perceiving
Yeah.
the celebration. अब अयोध्या जाके you can't have a non-vegetarian wedding.
You can't have
have
alcohol.
alcohol being served. So आपको उस पूरी शादी का जो पूरा स्टोरी है, the entire story of that wedding will have to be stitched around the essence of that destination. So I don't say no.
Yeah.
It will happen for sure, but it may take
There
some
will
time.
be somebody who probably wants that kind of an
बहुत
experience.
सारे
जैसे
लोग हैं.
आपने कहा कि उनकी मदर को चाहिए था ओली एंड
And there we had nothing.
या
बिकॉज वी वर हम भगवान की शरण में थे, एक तरफ बद्रीनाथ एक तरफ केदारनाथ और सामने हमारी नंदा देवी दिखती थी. सो इट वाज गॉड ऑल ओवर एंड वी रिस्पेक्टेड दैट एंड वी एंजॉयड बीइंग अंडर द अम्ब्रेला एट दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम.
समझ जी, आई फील डेस्टिनेशन सिलेक्शन जो एक प्रोसेस होता है, एक फैमिली के साथ जब बैठते हैं हम, आई थिंक इतना कन्फ्यूजन हो जाता है उन लोग के लिए, जस्ट बिकॉज, एंड आजकल हो गया है कि इवेंचुअली दे हैव टू गिव इन बिकॉज दे वांटेड समथिंग एल्स, बट बिकॉज ऑफ नॉन अवेलेबिलिटी, बिकॉज ऑफ not being able to get the numbers right, they end up choosing sometimes what is not actually their first preference. As a planner, as a senior person, how do you assess this, or how do you break through this and help them navigate and filter to the right destination?
मैं आपको सच बताऊं, मेरे लिए तो सारी डेस्टिनेशंस अच्छी हैं. बिकॉज इवेंचुअली व्हाट इज इम्पोर्टेंट इज नॉट रियली द डेस्टिनेशन.
It's
Eventually,
the
what is
experience
the
of those 3 days.
what is important is the experience of those,
those
2 or
3
3
days.
days. And now that depends on your ability and your equation with the family. तो मैं आपसे पूछूं, which are the top 5 weddings that you've ever heard of, or which have been your top 5 weddings? सारी एक जगह तो नहीं हुई हैं.
true.
कोई कहीं हुई है, कोई कहीं हुई है, कोई कहीं हुई है. So I don't think so destination is important. Destination is, okay, it's a flavor. But destination, is it the objective? No. Is destination the destination? No, it isn't. The destination is the experience. The destination is the memories that one is able to create. And the destination is the rejoice, the joy that is brought about for the family and the immediate friends, which depends on, for me, three major things. One is the family itself.
They are
और वहाँ पे मतलब आई एम सॉरी,
Their
आई डोंट
culture.
वांट पीपल टू मिस्टेक व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, बट शादियाँ दिखाने के लिए नहीं की जाती हैं. तो बहुत सारे लोग, कभी कभी मैंने देखा है, ये गलती कर बैठते हैं, उस दृष्टिकोण से काम करते हैं कि वो कॉन्शियस हो जाते हैं कि कौन क्या देख रहा है.
और वो ज़्यादा ही हो रहा है अभी तो.
वो सबसे पहली गलती है, वो नहीं होनी चाहिए. शादी आप अपनी खुशी के लिए करते हो, अपने बच्चों के लिए करते हो, अपने दोस्तों के लिए करते हो. सो एज लॉन्ग एज यू स्टे फोकस्ड ऑन दैट, आई थिंक यू विल नेवर इवन रियलाइज कि मैं फ्लोरेंस में था या उदयपुर में था. इट डजंट मैटर.
Yeah.
So that's one. Number two, what is also very important is that you make sure that the mix that you're carrying with you as a part of your guest list in the destination is a mix where everybody is knit. And नहीं तो फिर आप अपनी सामाजिक जिम्मेदारियों में सिमट जाओगे वापस, जिस वजह से आप बाहर जाते हो. I don't want to call 2,000 people. I want to be 400 people because I want to enjoy. So then put yourself in that mind frame where you can enjoy. You don't have to be conscious of everything that you're doing. You should not have that fear of being judged all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing that, then that's the biggest mistake that you're making. You
And you're
out
taking
there,
away your own joy.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. So मेरे लिए वो geographical location क्या है, सिर्फ उस हद तक मैटर करती है. अगर मैंने सोच रखा है कि यार मुझे ना कुछ एक यूरोपियन टाइप के कासल में शादी करनी है, सो देन दैट डेस्टिनेशन मैटर्स टू मी. मैंने सोच रखा है दैट दिस एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ माई डॉटर्स वेडिंग हैज़ टू बी एब्सोल्युटली रीगल, इट नीड्स टू बी रॉयल, इट नीड्स टू टेक मी बैक टू टाइम्स. तो फिर मैं बोलूँगा ठीक है यार, मुझे राजस्थान जाना है. So then these destinations start to matter because there is a picture that you have in your mind. Otherwise,
If they, so if basically they are not decided yet and they are open, then I think I'm assuming your approach is that focus on selling an experience and a concept.
my approach is always to make sure that there is ease of approach, which means you should be able to reach that destination aram se.
Comfortably.
You should be able to get value for money.
Yeah.
And मैं सब्जुगेटेड तरीके से कहीं जाकर अगर काम करूँगा तो परेशानी है. सो ये सारी चीज़ें मेरे लिए ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है. एंड आई हैव अ वेरी कैंडिड कॉन्वर्सेशन विद एनीबडी फॉर दैट मैटर ऑन दिस. सो these are things that are important for us. Venues are important for us because experiences at the end of the day, when you talk about experiences, venue plays a very very important role.
True.
And then चूँकि अच्छा हमारी सोच थोड़ी सी फर्क होगी, सो आई डोंट वांट टू जनरलाइज दैट, बट बिकॉज हमारा कैनवस बड़ा है,
हाँ.
तो हम चीज़ों को दूसरी तरीके से देखते हैं. बट फॉर एवरीबडी एंड इवन बट इवन इन आवर कैनवस इट डजंट मैटर. एज आई सेड, इट इज़ अबाउट what are those 3 days going to be like. Obviously we don't repeat anything that we've done in the past, so how do we make it different? And beyond a certain level, you also know that the social society or strata is also 50%, 60% the same. आज हिंदुस्तान की अगर 1000 टॉप फैमिलीज़ हैं तो आपको उसमें से 250 फैमिलीज़ प्रैक्टिकली हर शादी में मिलेंगी. कहीं इधर 200 मिलेंगी, कहीं उधर 200 मिलेंगी, सबको मिलेंगे. तो यू ऑल्सो हैव टू बी कॉन्शियस ऑफ दैट. तो आप बदलने की तो चेष्टा करते हो ना, दैट हाउ इज़ द एक्सपीरियंस गोइंग टू बी डिफरेंट.
हाउ आर यू गोना मेक इट यूनिक. एंड आई थिंक वो एक बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन हमेशा हर फैमिली का होता है कि हमको कुछ अलग करना है, और वो कितना अलग.
कहने में सबके लिए होता है, करने में कितनों के लिए होता है, वो एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल है अपने में.
आपका Ollie तो आपने कहा कि is close to your heart, but other than that, which is that one project which you feel was a path-breaking or I would say the biggest milestone for E-Factor experiences?
There have been many, to be honest, आरती, because देखो 20 साल का सफ़र है.
800 odd events आप लोग ने किए, right?
So overall we've done practically more than 1,000 events. But weddings हम साल में एक ज़माने में थोड़ी ज़्यादा करते थे. But I think in the last 10, 12 years we've kind of brought it down to maybe 4 weddings a year. We can't handle beyond that. And but तो हमारी जो पहली शादी थी वो बहुत important थी, which was Peter Punj and Sonali Nanda. And that is the wedding that actually transformed or started the process of transformation.
This is the one you all did at the Delhi, at that, the park.
No, that happened much later.
So this was the Udaipur one.
No, this happened in Delhi, the Nandas and the Punj family, and but this was probably one of those first weddings where everything was given out to one agency. So we event managed the whole shadi of 5 days, and the client actually offered to pay me through his credit card. He said, "Where you accept credit cards?" I still remember that, but that's where it changed things for us. And then we realized that, boss, this is one sector, or this is one area of the events business which has not been addressed by anybody. Thus, our journey started of trying to explore possibilities of how can this part of the events business be reorganized, redefined, and then the next project we did. The next दो तीन किए उसके बाद the next path breaking project was Preeti Paul's wedding and APJ Surendra, and that hats off to her. The four of us still remember her a lot.
Which was in Delhi again?
Which was Udaipur.
Udaipur.
Now that was the path-breaking wedding for Udaipur.
I have seen
that wedding
Up Cirque,
actually.
you bought Cirque.
No, that happened much later. Cirque happened much later. This is I'm talking
I'm
of
mixing up
2004.
all your projects.
I'm talking 2004 now.
Yeah.
And Preeti ने हमें बहुत सिखाया. And so that was a paradigm shift for us.
Okay.
And then Sahara happened, was another paradigm shift. Then Abhishek Aishwarya happened, that was another paradigm shift. So there have been many, where आपको लगता है हाँ यार अब यहाँ से ये बदल गया, अब ये हो गया, फिर इस मुकाम से ये बदल गया, ये हो गया, वो ऐसे बहुत सारे.
As there are so many new entrants in our industry, so many new professionals who are coming. And it's encouraging to see that some of them come with so much clarity and they are really professionals. But there's also a lot, like you said, it doesn't take much to just take one laptop and just start your business. I want that 2 piece of advice that you'd like to give to the new entrants so that they can have a very credible path ahead in this industry.
There may possibly be more than 2 pieces of advice.
But 2, the key most.
Don't do it just for the heck of it. That's very, very important. You see, if you are not pursuing your passion, then you're making the biggest mistake of your life. और शादी जैसा मैंने बोला आपको थोड़ी देर पहले, अगर आपके लिए ट्रांजैक्शनल है ना, तो आपको ये काम करना ही नहीं चाहिए. If you genuinely believe that yes, you can participate in the process of making somebody's once-in-a-lifetime moment memorable, emotionally get attached to it, and then contribute, and at the same point in time make some money, then it's a yes. Otherwise, one should not be doing it. And be original. I think that's something which is very, very important, because अभी क्या है, Mother Google has made things. उसने ना हर महंगी चीज़ को सस्ता कर दिया.
हाँ, सही बात है.
Everybody unfortunately just Googles, makes a nice
mood board
and a good-looking glossy presentation, even disrespecting the fact that किसी का अच्छा काम दिखा रहे हो तो कम से कम क्रेडिट तो दे दो.
सही बात है.
तो ये दूसरी चीज़ है जो मैं बोलूँगा, जो आपको 100% कोशिश करनी चाहिए. That we really want to sustain and grow, then originality
and be authentic
is very, very important. And and if you're taking inspiration from somebody's work, or even if you're trying to emulate somebody else's success in a similar situation before, so be courageous enough and be honest to give credit, because उससे आशीर्वाद ही मिलेगा, otherwise गाली मिलेगी.
Yeah, true.
And so these are the two main things. The list can be on.
You know, a lot of clients sometimes think that ये टीम बहुत नहीं है. अब कभी कभी वो टीम भी बहुत पैशनेट है एंड प्रॉब्ली दे आर डूइंग द राइट थिंग्स, बट उनको वो मौका नहीं मिलता है बिकॉज उन लोग ने शायद वो डेस्टिनेशन में काम नहीं किया है, या उनको लगता है कि वो पर्टिकुलर टीम के पास उतना एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है. आई फील दैट आई वॉन्ट टू ऑल्सो कन्वे दिस टू आवर ऑडियंस कि जो एक हमारी इंडस्ट्री में जो कॉन्फ्रेंसेस और जो हमारा एक इंडस्ट्री का एक नेटवर्किंग प्लेटफॉर्म्स, वन ऑफ दैट इज़ ICWF जो आप लीड करते हैं, इज़ a very important platform for people to know, understand, build relationships. So वो ready हैं, वो prepped हैं. मौका दीजिए, because वो first मौका देंगे, they'll perform. Sometimes that's also important. And hence I'd like you to talk a little bit about the format of IMA and ICWF. How does it help the industry and make sure people have that knowledge and understanding?
See, every industry, it becomes an industry only because of the involvement of many people.
Correct.
Then if many people are involved, it is also important that those many people know each other.
Yeah.
How will those many people know each other? So which is why there are industry forums. And those industry forums then help you to meet other people, to understand what your, what your ecosystem is all about. It helps you make connections. और कनेक्शन से नॉलेज भी मिलती है और व्यापार भी मिलता है, तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी है. बट आई थिंक फॉर पीपल हु आर न्यू इन द बिजनेस, दीज फोरम्स probably are a little more important.
Yeah.
Because they give you a 360-degree exposure to what is new that is happening. So at least one, because in the knowledge sharing sessions, you get to know what's happening in the world, what are the new things that other people are doing. So you at least are able to keep yourself up to date. So that's very important. Who is relevant in the business is also good to know.
Correct.
So, कल को अगर मुझे कुछ बड़ा करना है तो मुझे शायद इनसे कनेक्ट होना पड़ेगा. तो इनको आज से पहचानने में, जानने में बुराई कभी नहीं होती, अच्छा ही है. सो इट हेल्प्स यू कनेक्ट विद पीपल. एंड it also at times, networking helps in getting business. I am coming from a small town like Kolhapur, and Aarti is sitting here in Bombay. Aarti tomorrow gets an opportunity to do something in Kolhapur, then Aarti may remember me.
Yeah.
कि यार मैं इसको फ़ोन करती हूँ, he can possibly be of assistance to me because he belongs there. So ये सब चीज़ें कह के नहीं आती हैं. You have to have a very open mind. And but most important is you need to be clear that yes, you're out there to learn. अगर आप ये सोचकर इन forums में जा रहे हो कि आप सिखाने जा रहे हो, तो फिर गलत है.
And अगर आप सोच रहे हो कि भाई okay, this is just one big party happening, I mean, you got to go with the intent to learn.
You have to go with the intent of getting back something.
Yes.
Now that something could be knowledge, that something could be some connections, that something could be something else. So that's important. And but क्या होता है, इसका एक दूसरा साइड भी है, वो ये कि ये कुछ forums बड़े हो गए.
हाँ जी.
तो कभी कभी ऐसी भी सिचुएशन होती है कि मैं बड़ा इंट्रोवर्ट हूँ और मैं बहुत सारे लोगों को नहीं जानता हूँ, तो मैं अपने आप को वहाँ पे खोया खोया सा महसूस करता हूँ. तो फिर वो मेरे लिए बड़ा इंटिमिडेटिंग हो जाता है, बहुत डिमोरलाइजिंग हो जाता है. सो इट्स अ लिटिल catch-22 kind of a thing there. So then in such scenarios one has to be a little mindful, address it with yourself and किसी के साथ जाओ.
Yeah.
So that you know that okay, you don't find yourself lost.
आपने बहुत सारे लोगों को, I mean I've observed, बहुत सारे आपने टैलेंट ढूंढे हैं through this forum also and otherwise also, where you've given opportunity to designers who've got their breakthrough through your agency by working and designing for you, where technology is concerned. And I know you're very technology driven. You like to bring in technology. At least in your IPs, I see a lot of technology. Weddings में आपने what's the best technology you have used and which is something you feel
ये एक शब्द है जिससे मेरी कांस्टेंट लड़ाई चलती रहती
technology?
है। Yes, मुझे आज तक कोई डिफाइन करके बता ही नहीं पाया कि टेक्नोलॉजी है क्या।
मेरे हिसाब से आई मीन इज टू मेक इट लाइक अ कॉम्बिने सो जैसे आज आपके फ्लावर्स हैं या जो भी है आई मीन टुडे हाउ मच ऑफ द virtual or how much of the content creation do you use in your design element?
I am disconnected here, Aarti.
Okay.
And yes, in 2009, I created an underwater party, which was probably the first time 360-degree projection was done. India didn't even have projectors. We didn't have fiber optic cables. I got cables from Sweden. I got projectors from Singapore. Today, everybody does projection.
That's true.
So for me, at that point in time, that was engaging with technology. हम स्टूडियो में बैठे हैं, ये भी टेक्नोलॉजी है।
जी.
वो पीछे नियॉन भी टेक्नोलॉजी है। Every camera is using some technology or the other. So the definition of technology is something that, for some people, a mobile app is also technology.
Yeah.
So we've been savvy. We've not been, I wouldn't say that we are great fans of it.
Okay.
But yeah, हमको ये ज़रूर लगता है कि there are opportunities where something very unique can be done. Then why not? So we created Winter Wonderland. So for us, that was a very unique application of technology where we actually created snowfall in Delhi.
Oh wow.
We got a team from Belgium and another team from Holland and another team from England to create that event, which still continues to be a landmark event because दिल्ली में कभी किसी ने बर्फ ही नहीं देखी. And we created an event which was called Winter Wonderland. So that was
Now that's technology
absolutely,
for me for sure.
absolutely, that was technology.
Yeah.
I remember when we were doing the Sahara wedding, there was a huge challenge because Harry and Shailinder had decided to get the London Philharmonic Orchestra for the reception. And Sahara Shri, along with his other team members and me, were having a conversation that, यार ये 126 लोगों का लंदन फिल्हार्मोनिक है, ये इतने बड़े वेन्यू में कहाँ बिठाओगे? 10,000 लोग हैं, उस कोने में स्टेज बनाएंगे तो इधर से नहीं दिखेगा, इधर बनाएंगे तो उधर से नहीं दिखेगा. समित गर्ग को सोची, उसने कहा सर सेंटर में स्टेज बनाते हैं, रिवॉल्विंग स्टेज बनाते हैं. And my dad was very upset when he heard that I've made this proposition. And but I think that was the time when we used indigenous technology.
Wow.
Where
And what year was this, Samiji?
2006. No, Sahara was 2004, 2005. And तो हमने कुछ बॉम्बे से इंजीनियर्स, कुछ बॉम्बे से मोटर मैकेनिक्स, कुछ लखनऊ के रेलवे यार्ड से कुछ लोग, we got together a team of people and we created the largest revolving stage ever in the country, which was about 92 feet in diameter.
Oh my God, this
And-
is path breaking.
And that stage was used at Sahara Sheher for approximately 12 years even after the wedding.
Oh, is it? They permanently kept that
Yeah,
as
because you can't just remove that
Yeah,
structure. It was
yeah.
a permanent thing that was made. So that was indigenous technology that we used there. तो बाकी मैं किस चीज तो वही मतलब see
I mean,
for
आपने
every
तो ये
person
काफी हाँ, this is all for me
for
and
every
for
person
everybody.
the meaning of that term is different.
Yeah.
Technology in our events was again applied there because the way we used plant and machinery to create shapes with iron and steel was a huge application of technology. बाकी मतलब मैं रूटीन की चीज़ों को मैं नहीं मानता टेक्नोलॉजी.
Correct. Correct. But these are the true examples of how you've used technology.
So now we are working on a project where we are actually simulating living creatures in with a little bit of AI, with a little bit of holographic immersion, and trying to create a show where you are the real person, but you're possibly talking to an artificial person. But me as an audience
Think it's two real
don't know
people
the
talking.
difference between the two. And
Wow.
So कुछ कर रहे हैं.
This is in the space of weddings,
Yeah,
or
it's in the space of wedding.
Oh wow, this is something we all want to look forward to.
So
On this note, I think I'm done with my questions, but we have this one last fun segment,
okay.
which is like a rapid fire, which I want to take you through.
Okay.
And I mean, just for people to know you slightly better, I might say that. So, yeah, I'm going to start with the rapid fire. The best advice you have received about planning.
Do it in advance.
The best event that you have liked, admired, that you've attended but not planned or executed by you.
Lion King.
Amazing. It's beautiful, no?
It is.
Most innovative technology you've used, we've touched upon this, so I'm not going to make this a rapid fire. Your event planning superpower.
Canvas. I dream with open eyes, and that is my strength.
Your most favorite keynote speaker at any event.
That's a tough one. Narayan Murthy.
When do the most creative ideas come to Mr. Samit Garg?
When I'm doing nothing.
For me, when I'm having a shower. But thank you so much on this note, Samitji. Thank you. We've had a great conversation with you. It's been inspiring always to listen to all that you do. And one of the reasons why I definitely wanted you on my show is because जो आपने इतने easily flowing और इतने casually कहा ना हमने ये किया था, हमने वो किया था. These are massive, massive, massive path-breaking work in the wedding space. And with so many years of experience, when you speak with so much ease about it, you don't realize how many people you inspire by giving this information and knowledge. So thank you so much.
Thank you for saying that, Aarti, because हमको भी जिंदगी में motivation की ज़रूरत होती है. And it comes to us in bits and pieces like this. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
I hope time spent with you has been purposeful.
It has.
And I hope all of you guys have liked your time spent with both of us. Thank you.
On that note, we finished today's super insightful episode with Mr. Samit Garg. I hope you've enjoyed and liked this. If you have, please do give us a thumbs up and make sure you're sharing this with all your loved ones and everybody who wants to hear about weddings. Do not forget to subscribe to the Wedding Podcast.